Welcome. Thanks for being here. Please check in. Tune in to you. What are you bringing here today? Close your eyes. Sit comfortably, centered. Breathe more deeply. Ask yourself, what did you bring here? Now, what does that mean? It's important to make it concrete because it kind of is. Our thoughts and feelings have a presence. They're real. They're real. They're here. When you connect with people from afar, it's important to recognize that you're carrying a resonance that affects everyone. And I'm inviting you now to comprehend that magic begins with your trust and respect for this. Magic begins by understanding that you are already magical. Now look, this is deep stuff. I find it important to appeal to my own childhood and perhaps yours. Jedi. There's a presence to that. There's a presence that speaks into you that you have the power to create with your mind. In fact, the way to unveil that is really beautiful. You're already doing it. You are already creating with your mind. You are creating with your attention. And more importantly, you are creating with your heart. The heart is somewhere around 1,000 times as magnetic as the brain. What this means is that when you activate a vibration in the world around you by feeling it, it is much more impacting than anything you just do with your thoughts. See, there's something that got a little lost, I believe, in popular culture, and it's kind of purposeful. The sense out there, certainly present on YouTube, is that if you just get it right, if you just get your mind right, you repeat it a lot, get the right technique, you're going to be the most powerful manifester, right? Manifester. And so the idea is that your power is best expressed by being really good at getting what you want. That's where it all goes wrong. That's where it all goes wrong. See, the lack of humility in that attitude keeps us really weak. Seriously, you're in a body. You share your space with millions of other people. This space, the earth, we share it. Billions of people. And when you're good at creating energy that lasts, that resonates and continues, it's affecting so many others. Do you really think it makes sense to design a reality where people just get to, I want this, I want this, I want this? No. What you do is you restrict people in what they want. You restrict what people want within channels. And within those channels, you create priorities because there are scarce resources. As a result, we get some people with a lot and a lot of people with not much because so many people are praying for a lot and everybody can't have a lot. There's scarcity, there are limits. And these limits are purposeful. And they exist within a world that is essentially telling you from the beginning, do you really know what you want? I encourage you not to know what you want. That goes against a lot of popular wisdom. But it is much more powerful to not know. Here's the simplicity of that. Are you really good at asking for what you want? Are you clear? That's what being good is. Being good is about being clear at first. Next, being good is about recognizing that the world is talking to you. See, a lot of people think they're being vague, so they get louder. And the impact of getting louder and more repeated, putting post-it notes on your mirror to remind you of your prayers, is that you do build density to your prayers. And that often exists within a false premise. See, you're heard. You're heard the second you think it is a fleeting thought. It's not vague. You are heard. All of it. Everything about you is known. Everything about you is seen. You need to begin here. You're not hiding anything. The forms of self-abuse that you push into the corner, not hidden. The desires that are perhaps warped or confused or stunted or angry, not hidden. None of it is hidden. None of it. Heart. Check in with your heart. Because see, this is the fail-safe. You could do all sorts of stuff with your brain. Your brain holds pattern after pattern after pattern. You make neurological rhythms in there and they kind of last. They last more in energy than they do in the neurons. And even then, the brain is much less powerful than the heart. See, this is a beautiful system. It's very elegant. It says, if you can't be clear in a way that's loving, we're not going to amplify you. If you can't get it into your own heart, if you can't get it from here to here, we're not going to turn on the power. Welcome. This is where you learn to turn on the power. And the only way you can turn on the power is to love really well. I invite you to put a hand on your heart. Feel what you feel here. Slow your breathing. Slow it. Find a dance between extending and deepening your breath and allowing your body to tell you when it wants to turn. See, the beauty of this breath is that when you slow it, you can't be in fight or flight. Fight or flight is a state of the brain. that doesn't really get into the heart. Fight or flight is a state of the brain where the brain can take over the body. And it's purposeful. It's done when you're in danger. The problem is, a lot of times people think they're in danger when they're not in that kind of danger. That's where we live. That's where we are right now. In a culture, in a time, in a phase, in a reality, in a zone where fear is rampant and it's misconnected. People know when things are wrong. You know when things are wrong. And wrong means wrong. Wrong means it's not supposed to be this way. Wrong means there is a much better way to live. And you know when you are being affected by forces like that. You just don't necessarily know how to interpret it. So part of your consciousness is here reacting and feeling and saying no, but without enough information to understand that. You just live with the anxious feeling that something's wrong. So, here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to give you a little bit of the why, and then we're going to talk about it. So I would love you to anticipate a questioning time in relation to these themes, then some general questions, then some readings. I'm going to take this opportunity to make a pitch. I had to start a new live feed. Forgive me for that. A couple people clicked like on the old one, and then it died. If you're welcome to click like again, I appreciate it. And I lost a couple people in the process. I pray for you. Hope you find your way over here. I am always grateful for your donations. My goal is to make it so I'm getting enough donations that I'd make more than if I did a paid class that was restricted. Never feel like you are unwelcome. It is so important to me that your presence is a blessing. Your respect is payment. If you want to do more than that and you don't have a lot of money, please share. If you give me money, please share. I'm always grateful. When you reach out and find new folks who fit in, who are blessed by this work, maybe you're finding somebody who is abundant with resources and can bless me and my life in a way that I can keep going like this. Because I love this. This is my fulfillment. This is my gift to me, that I'm reaching out in a way that I can trust that people need it and that you can feel that presence in exactly the right depth. You can leave when you want to. You can return when you want to. You don't feel like I'm clinging at you. I don't want you to feel like I'm grabby, trying to get as much as possible. That's an illness. This world is sick. This world is sick because we are covered in a culture. There's one culture that's kind of extending everywhere. It draws the greed out of people, right? It's a common denominator. It's purposeful. It says we can deal with each other. We don't have to fight. We can take from the earth and sell to each other and deal with each other. And some people will lose, but we're the winners. We're the winners. And that greed drives a force that's a cancer. It means people are cutting corners and making the earth sick regularly. And I don't want to contribute to it. So I will keep reinforcing these two themes. Please donate, PayPal, Venmo. There's a link under the last class. I'll put one under this one when I'm done. And never feel like you have to. Blessings. Here's what I want to invite you into. There is a threshold that I have been afraid to cross with you all because it's powerful. And the power of this is something that I really want to coach you in well. There is no advantage in helping you turn your life on, attract all sorts of confusion, and then feel overwhelmed and give up. The biggest challenge is that you start and you get halfway in and you bail haphazardly. If you bail haphazardly, you could hurt yourself. If you keep going, you won't. You can slow it down. I've been getting feedback from people who are pushing hard and doing these routines regularly. And when I mean regularly, I mean a couple times a day, going through the key ring cycle, heart, crown, throat, pelvis, nose tip, solar plexus, diamond eye, lungs, root, chin, navel, third eye, heart. Draw that out. That fast, 5 breaths for each change, 1 breath, 3 breaths, 2 minutes. Explore, experiment. I've got people doing that and they're feeling it. It turns on the energy and it turns on all of the energy. I cannot communicate this to you enough. When you do this repeatedly, most days a week, you will activate all of your energy, all the colors of the rainbow. And you must understand the consequences of that for it to work well. People typically choose, unbeknownst to you, you are typically choosing a vibration as a garbage vibration. And when you choose a vibration, a color, as a garbage vibration, it gives you the ability to kind of cheat a little in life. I mean, it's built in, so it's not cheating, but it's cheating on yourself. You're cheating on yourself because you're agreeing to live at less than your full capacity. What does that mean? It means you go through an argument with someone you love. Yes, I'm pretty sure you know what that's like. You go through an argument with someone you love, and it hurts so much that you want to escape that argument. So rather than staring at what was happening and looking into it and being deeply committed to not letting it happen again, you push it down. And when you push it down, that energy, those feelings, and that insight about how you can be healthier go somewhere. They have to go somewhere. They exist. Energy exists. It can't be created or destroyed. You can only compress it. You can help it change form, but it doesn't go away. So when you push it down, when you repress it, you're repressing it somewhere. And believe it or not, everybody represses in a different way, which means some people repress into blue and some people repress into yellow. For real, that's what it ends up looking like. And when you're typically moving your energy around and putting all the things you're unhappy about, all the things you're uncomfortable with in one place, it's like keeping a whole room dirty. It's like putting all your clutter in one room again and again and again. Eventually, some rotten food gets in there, it starts to mold. But this is the way people live as a norm. It is as if we have learned from each other by mimicking each other, by buying into the culture as it stands. We've learned to dedicate one room to being a junkyard. Really. And there's no recycling in many people's vocabulary, mental, spiritual, living vocabulary. There's no recycling. It's just a room that's the junkyard. Now, that's preferable to leaving junk everywhere. For real. And it's terrible for you because it's in you. You're carrying it. Have you ever heard of this simple Zen teaching that holding anger is like gripping a hot coal? You burn yourself more than anyone else. Think about it. You hold that hot coal until you throw it. Maybe it bounces off someone. Rarely do you throw it right into someone in a way that it sticks. And when you do, is that really what you wanted to do? And in the meantime, you hold it. And how many people hold anger and never let it go out? Now look, on a low level, that can be kind of inspiring. You feel the heat. Anger has heat. For real, people do this. People use it as motivation. But it's like lighting a fire in the living room. And then, you're like, oh shit, it's smoky. So you open the window. But your living room was not designed to have a fire just in the middle. Now, forgive me if you feel like I'm dragging this metaphor out too much, because it's very direct. When you do the flower routines, when you do the key ring routine, boom, 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 boom. When you do that, you're checking in every room. You're checking in every room of your system. Your chakras are like your rooms. Your chakras are like your rooms, and you are immediately committing to look at it all. And believe me, most people aren't looking at it all. So the real danger, it's a real danger for you that exists in this approach, this wildflower fire approach. And all I'm saying is I don't know anyone else who's doing this. You show me. I want them to be doing this in some form. There's a crew based in England that use a 12 chakra system. It's probably functioning this way. They're not going through it in the key ring, but by using the 12 chakras, they are activating all 12 hues. And so it's probably functioning in this way. And every time I've tuned into them, I like their stuff. Their meditations work. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. So this is, in the key ring, more of a commitment to do it daily. Their routine keeps some of the energies above the crown. And believe me, the 12 chakras that we're working with are the same chakras moved into the body. If you're interested, look them up. So when you locate all 12 chakras within your body, it means you have to tune in every day because you don't have a safe place to put anything. And you can't leave garbage in yourself. So my concern, this deep focus, is that I will help you open all the doors in your house, and then you will feel problems that you never felt before, and you'll freak out. You'll react against this work. You'll maybe blame it, which would suck for me, but I'm most concerned that you'll activate it, wake it up, and then it'll be kind of chaotic in your life, but you won't stick with the work and heal it. And if you do that, it really can cause problems. And I want to make sure I am setting you up to succeed. With that being said, I just posted the first chapter of my book, which is now from me to the editor. Incidentally, the editor is my mother. She is a professional editor who inspired me to write this book to begin with. She got her doctorate, and she's good. She actually has ridiculously high standards, and it's difficult to deal with, to be honest. And I'm really inspired and grateful that she's helped me to channel this work into such a high form. I have gotten it to the best level that I'm going to get it to. So I just posted a link to the chapter that tells you more about how to do the standing flower routine. It's in the basic chakra yoga video. It's in the description. Now it's about 5 pages. No, it's more than that. 10, I don't know. Go read it. It describes how to do each pose. It describes how to approach it from a mental and spiritual space, how to hold your attitude. And it describes some of the basic things that can go wrong. I'm encouraging you to do this, and I'm encouraging you to do it and then not bail. If you start, don't stop haphazardly. Peter out. If you want to leave it, sort of, peter out and wander away. Try not to just rip yourself away, like get afraid. And if you do, whether you have a formal relationship with me or not, write to me. Let me know. Because as I unleash this knowledge, I want to work with the first people who experience it regularly. I want to be a support for you. Because if I can learn more about what comes up, what works well, what goes wrong, I can make sure that I fold that in and inform more people who take this challenge on. That being said, I'm not going to be able to give everyone private sessions. In fact, my session times are filling up, and more people than I expected are asking for weekly sessions. So if you're interested in a weekly session, let me know now, because there are limits to how many I can do, and there are still some spaces. I also want to keep some spaces available for, check-in routines. So I'm not going to fill every slot with a repeated person. If you want it, write to me soon. So let me tell you where this is going. I am getting closer and closer to doing live channelings. It scares the shit out of me. It makes me nervous. I don't like the responsibility. I love the responsibility, and I don't like it. So I'm stepping in, and I'm getting all the foundations set. But I am going to attempt to do questions that are live with First Thoth. Now here's the reality. I can channel a lot of different beings. I've stayed focused with him because he's helped me stay focused. And I am working on, in fact, I'm a little fried from working on something that was basically channeled from Gaia. I went to her and I said, what do you most want me to say? And then I recorded something, and it's almost completely untouched. I just recorded it. And I'm turning it into a video with with clips. I'm experimenting. Like, I love this phase. I'm experimenting with you in these classes. I'm learning what works, and I enjoy it more than I've enjoyed many of the approaches I've taken. So I also enjoy sharing my process with you and having your support and your company. It's brilliantly exciting for me to be this bridge, to help you get in touch with the guidance of this world, to be present, hopefully, in a way that helps you feel more confidence in loving well. So thanks for being here. That is the intro. And I'm going to say from this point on, if you have questions, mostly about what I've said, but also generic questions, I will do my best to take them and fold them into what we're doing. We'll do questions like that for a little bit, and then I'll do live readings. And unlike last week, I'm not going to do the live readings early. That was too haphazard and didn't work as well. But as I said, I'm experimenting. Namaste. No master that you don't trust. No master without love. No mistress that you don't trust. No mistress without love. Let me tell you a secret. Gender. This is so simple, all right? This is so simple. One of my best friends, I was in nursery school with her. Her mother passed away a couple of years ago. She was a very famous professor at Cornell of gender studies. And when she died, she came to me and we talked for hours. The day of her death, hours. And she explained stuff to me that it shattered my mind. So I will put a disclaimer on what I'm about to tell you. It could affect you very deeply. There are basic safeguards in how we are conscious, and they're funny. If you don't line up certain fundamental understandings, you will never get past the boundaries that you're contained within. So it's sort of like a combination lock. You got to line it up. And once you line it up, whoosh, you can just slide through. You align your energy with the field, and it's like you slip through the bars. Until you do that, you're just blocked. And some of them are really simple. Male and female. When you identify primarily as the gender you are, you will not get past the cage of what you are. It seems obvious, and yet it's not, like, we're not talking about it, and we should talk about it. Because fundamentally, you are a spirit that's beyond your gender. Now, this can be confusing. This can be challenging for people. Indeed, I believe it's the reason transgender issues are such a freak out in the culture wars. Because beneath the scenes, once you start to accept that you are greater than your gender, you start to remember. You start to get in touch with the wider reality. You can no longer keep at bay the truth of the existence beyond this lifetime. Well, when you want that, it's beautiful. And all you have to say is you are your gender now. You can play with that. You can change it. You might feel pulled. You might feel forced to have a different kind of relationship with it than what people call normal. But the reality is, normal is to say you are a spiritual being having a human experience. You are in the body that you're in. Therefore, you're in this gender, along with the cultural forces associated with that gender. Once you identify as the greater being having this experience in this gender, you can start to slip through the bars. Until you do that, you can't escape. And she explained this to me. She explained that her work was all about getting people to get in touch with the degree to which gender is culturally constructed so that your mind can learn to transcend it. And once you've done that, you can return and you can be this gender, and it's beautiful. Haldi, bless you. Thank you. Would be so interested in yes. It's waking up, and the awakening is as compassionate as it can be. One of the first thresholds that I have crossed is to recognize the compassion of the angelic beings who guide this process, notably Gaia herself. They don't like suffering at all. They are extremely well aware that in many ways, people have to suffer in order to get the point on a certain level. There are lots of points that people have to accept, and they're usually induced by boundaries, like throwing yourself against a boundary. On the very simplest level, everybody can't be a billionaire who owns a yacht. The world would be covered in yachts. It's already too polluted. So when a lot of people, many more people, are praying to be wealthy and wasteful than we can afford to allow to be wealthy and wasteful. So suffering exists when you want something and you don't get it. That's the base level foundation of suffering. Suffering exists when you keep wanting something that you're not going to get. And life ends up being a tension between wanting in a way that then listens for the response of the world. This is one of the first ways I invite you to learn to tune into Gaia. She's always listening to you. You need to listen to her. She's always talking to you. She's replying in many languages. Sometimes someone you come across will give you that insight that you're totally seen and you were totally witnessed. And you must trust that witnessing is fundamentally loving. It is likely that you will recognize that witnessing in a way that makes you a little paranoid. At least that's how it's occurred for me. It still does sometimes. It occurs to me that it's scary that everything I am is seen. And you need to move through that to see the witnessing that is fundamentally loving and to trust it. And when you do, you allow the worst in yourself to be exposed to oxygen. And when that oxygen gets in, you can start to heal the worst rather than just holding it at bay. So, oh, beautiful name. Abhinay Yadu. Yes. And here's the secret. There are so many loops that people get stuck in, right? So many loops. And here's the secret. A loop is a spiral. There's a point in the loop where you're supposed to go up. And when you go up, you transition forward. You make progress on a different plane of reality. But you must accept the existence of this plane, which gives dimension to your life. Once you accept that dimension, you start to see all sorts of stuff that maybe you've been hiding from. It's like a flat land. Like imagine that you've been just living on the ground and all of a sudden someone tells you have to at least be aware of the air. When you are stuck in a loop in your life, it means that at a certain point you are falling. It's like you're going up a spiral and then you're falling back. And you have to learn to recognize that because that falling point is where you lose your depth. The spiral isn't really a circle. It never has been. It only mimics a circle. It only looks like a circle because you keep falling at the same point. So when you address where that falling happens in the cycle, you accept where your challenge is. And almost invariably, what you'll find is that you are essentially responsible for the fact that you fall. And this can be compassionate and loving. If you accept responsibility for the fact that probably your fear has been more powerful than your pain. It always hurts to go in a circle and feel stuck in the same cycle. I presume most of you can identify with the experience of being stuck in a negative cycle where you keep making the same mistakes. Maybe even you keep having the same kind of relationships. Certainly you keep having the same kind of challenges, wounds in your relationship, fights in your relationships. You end up in the same emotional space of resenting someone else for something that you think they're doing. Cycle, circle, stuck, loop. What you need to do is get in there and accept that this loop is not a loop. This loop is not a spiral. This loop is a spiral. This loop is not a circle in which you're trapped. And you identify how it's a spiral and you move. But the movement takes you away. The movement will carry you past your limits, and that can be so scary. So the most powerful step you can take is to commit. Say, I'm willing to move through that fear. I am willing to move through the fear that exposes me to the broader truth. And it's time. You might not have wanted it. It might feel lonely to leave the people you love. And I hope you can stay with me on this course because it's fundamental. One of the major reasons people stay afraid is because you are essentially, when you are called past these limits, when you are called to leave your circular cycles, your addictions, your bad habits, the fights you get in with the people you love, the mistakes you make again and again, you are there. You are stuck in those cycles probably because you want to stay with the people around you. And that's very understandable. I wanted to too. Most people want to stay in that love. It's not just familiar, they're the people you love. But it's quite possible that you are just being unavoidably called past those limits. And for a while, you're going to need to leave the comfort of what you've known. You're going to need to leave the familiarity of the love that you've shared. And I'm here to help you do that with some degree of sense of connection to love, and ideally without harshly rejecting your friends and family. Because one way or the other, you do need to follow your truth, even if it carries you away from some of the people you love. And we're trying to lay a foundation where you have trust in your life, you have sustenance, you have a connection to a love that will stay with you as you go through these changes. And that's what this channel is. That's what these practices are. Hey, thank you, nature. Thank you, Maha. Bless you for being here. So, with that being said, we're stepping this up. All right. I posted this week. I just posted two things. One is the grounding flower. It's just the 12 most basic poses in the grounding flower. I also posted the written text for the chapter of my book about to be published on the standing flower. I'm going to keep encouraging you to learn this stuff. The yoga I'm teaching you does actually get complex. I haven't turned it on yet, all right? I'm just turning it on. It does get complex, but you don't need to. You could stay for years with the foundations because the difference is that from day one, I'm going to get you, I'm going to encourage you, I'm going to invite you to focus on these styles. Focus on it as a style. Focus on it as a pattern. Learn it, memorize it, and then do it on your own. I want you to memorize those 12 poses. I don't care how great you are at yoga. You can do scorpion pose, great. You can hold a handstand for 3 minutes, great. Learn these poses so you can use them and stay in them because each of them align with the chakras. I don't know what I'm being. I didn't list the chakras, okay? I want you to just figure out the association. It's direct. It starts with the heart. Heart, crown, throat. You just map the key ring to those poses in order. And then those poses are great for staying in when you're working on one of those chakras. The poses that I've just shared with you in that grounding flower they're pretty yin. You can stay there. And so when you know that you're working on a chakra, you can stay there for a couple minutes and meditate on that chakra. Very powerful. Once you've accepted that, it goes deeper. And again, I've, for whatever reasons, it's time now to share. There are multiple layers to this grounding flower, and it's exciting. It's really exciting. They work very well. There are balancing exercises. So there are poses that they're framed, they're centered by each of those 12 poses, but then they go left, right, left, right. Then there are levels. So there's a harder pose, and then for some of them, even a third level, a much harder pose that are your challenges. So by memorizing this 12 pose routine, you're memorizing the trunk of a system that gets bigger. And ultimately, I've been doing this for years now, mostly focusing on the poses within this system. So I used to practice a broader range of yoga, and I've actually focused it and restricted it. I no longer use some poses because I've honed it in to focus on these poses. And let me tell you, I had some serious conversations with Shiva about this. I didn't believe it. I didn't believe he was asking me to do this. I thought I must be off my rocker. but he's been absolutely consistent for 7 years. 7 years, he said, focus it, associate it with the chakras, and do these routines over and over again. Then change the pace. I can't tell you enough. I'm going to tell you every week for a while. Just get your attention into this. It's liberation. What's the difference between copying an instructor and doing something at your own pace? Why wouldn't you do something at your own pace? Now, there are two reasons. One reason is because it's powerful to share an experience. When you're doing something with a lot of other people, you're tapping into that shared experience, and there's energy in that. Now, that's the comfort level. That's the passion that most people ride. Most people like the inspiration of going to a class because it can carry you. You can tune in and you get that shared vibe. But that comes at a great cost when people make that the fundamental relationship they have with yoga. With any practice, really. But it comes at a great cost because what you're sacrificing by sharing that rhythm is your own rhythm. And the problem is these routines bring up everything. These routines jog loose all the confusion if you were here at the beginning. These routines flush energy through all the rooms in your house. By moving energy through all the rooms in your house, there is awareness on the dirt. There's awareness on the muck. There's awareness on the clutter in you. And if you don't have the opportunity to stay with one mess and work on it, people are just going to be, you're staying with the class. Like, say your priority is to stay with the class. It's like pounding through all your rooms, even though you find that 2 of them are really messy and you should stay there. Now, that's a direct analogy. If your shoulders are really in pain, that exposes a lot of things. Now, you can go to a class designed around shoulders. You can do a YouTube routine designed for your shoulders. But the reality is, take it a step even deeper. It's your breath. It's your breath rhythm. Okay, now you can find a teacher who goes slow. And you know that tunes into your breath rhythm better. But what if you need to go fast and slow? What I'm trying to tune you into is you need to own this. You need to take this step, and you can do it the first day you start yoga. You could commit to this approach where you're committing to making it yours. You got to make it yours. It's a different relationship. And obviously, maybe it's not suited for everybody, but this is what we're doing. And I really invite you to feel this and to want it, because it is an entirely different relationship with your health. Yes. Yes. And here's the reality. It's uncomfortable. I am not here to make you comfortable. I'm not here to make you feel good. I will make you feel better. I will not do shit. I will help you make you feel better than so many different teachers or healers could. But that's not our priority, because along the way, we might make you very uncomfortable. And it's because exactly of what Maha just said. You can stay comfortable avoiding clutter. Let's imagine you have 12 rooms in your house. You've chosen 3 rooms to just push junk into. If you consistently avoid those 3 rooms, you're going to be happier. You're going to be more comfortable. But the problem is, I'm telling you, it's your house, and your house is your body. So if you're keeping rotting, moldy shit in 3 rooms, it makes you sick. What do you think cancer is? Seriously, not every cancer. Some cancers are formed by power line influence, which is the reverse of what we're going to talk about. But if you have a toxic vibration vibrating in your body out of sync, it keeps vibrating, it keeps vibrating, it keeps vibrating, it keeps vibrating. Over time, that affects the cells. Over time, that affects the cells. And over time, the relentlessness of a sick energy, if you have a relentless wound in you that keeps vibrating, it will manifest into physical reality and grow where it doesn't belong. And those cells are growing not because the cells are the primary problem, but because there's a root energy in you that's the primary problem. And the doctors can go in all they want and fry those cells with chemotherapy. But when the root cause is on a spiritual level, when the root cause is a sick energy that keeps going and going and going, it'll just start again in a different place. I watched one of my mother's best friends, one of my family's best friends die. And she went through a remarkable routine of getting a sickness and healing it, and getting another one and healing it, and getting another one and healing it. All of them were miraculous. She was in a wheelchair, then she could walk again. She was doing Tai Chi, then she was out of commission with cancer in her face. Then she healed that, and then she still died of another form of cancer. Because we live in a world that doesn't evaluate these things clearly. When you don't deal with your spiritual bodies directly, you miss major opportunities to be healthy. And that's why we're here. And it's not a panacea. Sometimes sicknesses are generated by physical instabilities, toxicities, certainly. But you need to be dealing with the spiritual levels, or you simply will not be able to handle everything. And in reverse, often by using your ability to be present spiritually, to focus your mind in a way that's consistently healthy for your spirit, you can drive out physical sicknesses. And that's why we're here. And it all circles around to doing these flower routines in the key ring cycle. And I'm telling you yet again, if you do them, it's going to bring everything up. And you need to want this enough to be prepared to move through that. Now, this is coming up from comments and that people have already shared, and a little bit of questions. I will continue to answer questions. So type in your questions, and if they're not directly related to what we've said and it feels healthy, I'm gonna turn with you and we're gonna go there. I'm also gonna try to monitor the time a little more, and I'm gonna take a little break in 7 minutes. So let's just be aware of that, and then I'll come back. My goal, I'm setting aside 2 hours every week for this, and we'll see how it goes. A couple more months of it, and we'll see how it builds. I will offer that it does make a difference for me when I get donations. Venmo and PayPal. Last week's class has the links. I'll add them to this class. I'm grateful. Joey, thank you. He's my biggest donor thus far. I really appreciate it. And several other people have donated. I don't know whether you're comfortable me sharing your name or not. I've asked him. If you ever aren't, don't, just let me know. But it makes a big difference. And at the point where I'm gathering more money this way than if I sold classes to, any finite number of people, it'll be even easier for me to do more publicly. So I'm grateful for your support. Jeremiah, welcome. All right. So this is a theme, it's an ongoing theme. And I've been hesitant about this, and I'm just going to keep telling you the same thing. It is part of my calling to support people who smoke cannabis. It is by no means necessary. It is a very powerful healing substance. I encourage you to understand something. It really is a medicine. Here's what it does. It shows you the healthiest life handicapped. It handicaps you on purpose. So what that means is you can take positive steps to bring yourself into all sorts of healthier versions of reality, but it won't unleash your full power because you're not ready yet. Now, here's my assurance to you. As you heal yourself, you won't want it as much. I still smoke sometimes. It's rarely as helpful. It's a little nostalgic for me at this point. It's particularly fun when I share it with other friends and when we play music together. It gets us on a good vibe. Used to be, oh my God, I'd smoke and I do 2-hour yoga routines that were enthralling, that would unleash tense energies that I would never have to deal with again. Very, very healthy. I would write music on cannabis that lasted and that I could sing when I wasn't high, and it was just beautiful. I would make choices that made my life better. And this is how I encourage you to approach it. Take care of yourself. Clean your space. Clean yourself. Eat healthily. No processed food. No abused animal products. That's simple. Follow those rules. Follow those rules. A little bit. You could have some, every once in a while, share some junk food. Get it out of your normal routine. Don't buy junk food as a normal part of your life. Art. You have to have some kind of art moving through you. And this is one of the biggest blessings. The art moving through you is energy. It's life force moving through you. You need it like sustenance, like water, and it's more important than the negative side effects. Then start to limit. Start to watch yourself. How often do you get lethargic? When you're lethargic, back off. Smoke less. See if you can smoke one hit and then do a long thing of yoga. Now watch what happens to your day if you smoke one hit and do a lot of yoga. Then you're going to be much happier because you did all that yoga. So you develop a dynamic relationship. It is not fully healthy for your body. It is not good for kids before their brains have developed. I'm sorry if you smoked a lot before your brain developed, but it did affect you. And I discourage any children whose brains are not fully formed from doing it. Certainly doing it regularly. It changes the neurons. After your brain is fully formed, it's kind of healthy for the neurons, but if you smoke too much, you will be lethargic. Lethargic in a way it's better than a lot of other things you could be doing. It will get you to make changes that prevent you from doing things that aren't good for you. Being hyperactive in a competitive world that's actually sick for your spirit is not good. So cannabis might handicap you to the point where you don't want that shit anymore. That's good. Then get yourself on a good track. Once you get yourself on a good track, you're going to start bringing up your wounds. Once your wounds come up, face them. Deal with them, heal them. I will do my best to continue to be a support to everyone who comes to this channel in doing that. I will not get to you as quickly as you might like sometimes, particularly as more people arrive. I will give people who pay me for sessions more attention because I need to. I have a growing family. It's base level. And I care. If you trust this, if you trust me, if you're drawn here, I care. And I'm going to do my best to help you. It just has to work with my life. That being said, I'll do another pitch. I'm getting, just a couple months ago, I moved my practice online. So I do live sessions. I do Zoom and Facebook and Google sessions, video chat sessions with people. More people than I expected are asking for them weekly. So if you want a slot, let me know because I'm not going to do as many as I can. I'm going to keep it limited. I'm going to keep making videos. I'm going to keep monitoring the channel, and I'm going to live an awesome life with my family. When I notice that this work is infiltrating my life too much, like I'm snapping at my son when he wants to play with me, I'm backing away from the work because I'm going to live an awesome life with my family. So I'm trying to put all these things in balance, and I definitely want to be working with the people who most love this work in sessions. So if you want a slot, let me know. All right. Here, boy, damn. So, yeah, that's my response. Here's what's up. I need to visit a certain room in my house, but I want to tell you something funny. Chakras are not bathrooms. Okay. I want you to think about that. Chakras are not bathrooms. You can't just walk into a room and take a dump. Most people are doing that energetically. Most people are just walking into a room and dumping garbage on the ground. It's sometimes worse than garbage. You must learn to recognize when you're in that pattern. There are all sorts of ways people stay stuck in that pattern. Because when you have a bathroom in the house, there's a toilet. It carries your stuff away. Now, for reasons I would like you to understand, it's absurd to put our shit into water. Shit belongs in the grounds, not in the water. It's bad. And the bathroom has mechanisms to take away the dirt, to take away the garbage. Most people don't have mechanisms for getting rid of things in a healthy way. At best, their solution is to dump them on another human in one form or another. And very commonly, they just put garbage in a room, and it makes you sick. And we're here to help you change that. That being said, I'm going to visit one of my rooms and I'll be back in about 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Welcome back. So I checked in. I got a couple things to clarify. Then we're going to do a little meditation. Then I'm going to answer some more questions and do readings. Five things. If you're going to smoke cannabis, and it's neither necessary nor negative to this work. Forgive me for those of you who are uncomfortable with it. It's important that I address it because a lot of people who will find this work effective do smoke, and people keep asking me about it. So I'm going to keep talking about it and step around it to the extent it's not something that you need. When you make the decision to make an alliance with this plant is conscious, it's aware of you, and it does a lot of things. Keep these 5 things. Clean yourself. That means bathe 2 or 3 times a week. Brush your teeth, basic stuff. It doesn't have to be perfect. Whatever, change your clothes, change your underwear, change yourself every couple days. Certainly underwear every day. And I don't mean to make you embarrassed, but take care of yourself. Keep those standards. Food, eat decently. Don't eat too much. Don't eat too much. If you feel like the munchy urge or whatever, move. That's your body calling you. That's your body wanting attention. If you just abort it and put it into food, don't make that regular, all right? Do some movement. Watch your capacity to take care of yourself that way and watch how it changes your appetite. Try not to eat much processed food or abused animals. Eat less meat and eat healthy meat. Eat meat that's lived a good life and was slaughtered quickly. Local farms, organic if you can, makes a big difference. Do not make generic meat normal. Eventually, you'll start to notice the pain. You eat the pain. It becomes a part of your life. You don't want to. Don't judge other people. It has nothing to do with other people. It's about you. Food. Now, look, there are all sorts of other layers about food. I'll do some videos about it, but keep those basic things. Don't eat too much. Don't eat processed stuff. Don't eat stuff in shapes very often that was just through a machine plopping. It's okay to do it some, just not much. Try not to make it normal. And the animal. When you eat an animal, its consciousness gets in you. There are reasons that this works this way. This can be an alliance with pig or with cow. You get their consciousness in you and they can align with you. But if you eat the abused ones, you're going to have some difficult forces to deal with. I discourage you from making it normal. Art. You need art. You need art. I don't care who you are. That could come in forms that I don't expect. You can collage, make music, paint. You need art. You need to give your spirit these dynamic ways of communicating. And you need to move. Walk. Go on walks. Mile to 3 miles. Make it normal. Do it often. My 3.5-year-old son walked uphill 3 miles twice last week. He carries his push bike. I carry his push bike. He walks with me. Then we get to the flatter areas and he pushes. And the top is all flat. The last mile is flat. The first time he did this summer during the quarantine, he lied down twice on the path, and I let him rest. Now he busts through it. Walk. Find your limits. Don't push yourself to level of pain where you're dysfunctional for a day. But move. Next thing, do the yoga. 20 minutes. 20 minutes, you can do it. I'm giving you several routines. I'm giving you short routines, 5-minute. I'm going to give you a 10-minute one soon. I'm going to give you a 30-minute one soon. I'm going to keep posting them. I want you to memorize them. Memorize them, make them your own. You'll notice that advice applies to everyone. So what I'm saying is, if cannabis helps you do those things, keep smoking cannabis. If you're not doing those things, don't let yourself smoke cannabis. Seriously, don't get in some lethargic space that many smokers are aware of, where there's junk all over the house. Clean your pipe. Clean whatever you're smoking out of. Don't let yourself go there. It's not healthy. And when your friends do that, visit them some, but don't keep it normal. That's my advice on cannabis. I'm going to keep it firm. All right. I'd like you to tune into your third eye. It's the last exercise in the breathing flower, 12 essential breathing exercises. I want you to breathe in, and as you breathe in, stretch your eyebrows to the side. Close your eyes. I invite you. As you breathe in, stretch your eyebrows towards the ears. You're stretching the skin right here, right above the bridge of your nose. Then as you exhale, let go. Find that rhythm. You're finding a balance between extending the length of this and being in tune with both your body and your spirit. Can you feel spiritual resonance. These breathing exercises are one of the best ways to learn how. You're focusing above the bridge of your nose. And then you're going to ask a question with us. What is the most important challenge for you to focus on in your life? Keep the exercise. Inhale, eyebrows towards the ears. Exhale, let it go. What is the most important challenge for you to focus on in your life? Trust. Trust this answer that you're receiving. Things that are inaccurate will dissolve in the face of the exercise. Keep moving the eyebrows and stretching above the bridge, focusing on your third eye. Allow the truth that your spirit knows the answers to these questions. They don't exist elsewhere. They're not in a cave in the Himalayas. They're not in the jungle. They're not in the ghetto. They're not in the deep recesses of the trenches of the Pacific. The answers are here. Stretch. Exhale. Release. Now, trust the answer. When you find that the most important challenge is something that is perhaps basic, perhaps straightforward, you need to believe it. You need to believe that this needs to be a priority for you. This is where it often gets lost. Most of you are conscious of your biggest challenges. You just deprioritize them. And I want you right now to commit together. We're together. We're sharing something. Together, let's stay focused over this next week on working on this challenge. And relax the motion. Just make it subtle now. Pleasant. Only stretch the eyes in a way that's pleasant. Relax the breath. And draw your attention down to your solar plexus. Your solar plexus is between the short ribs, above the belly button, below your heart. As you exhale, I want you to just slightly draw your stomach up, gently, sort of in a way that's fun. Inhale, release. Exhale, tense there. Inhale, release. Exhale, tense. You're squeezing the air out below the lungs. Inhale. Now your pace. I'm not going to tell you. You find a pace, draw it out a little, and find a rhythm that's natural. You are planting your intention to make a priority. Your third eye just answered a question for you in some form. You might think of it as just a hint you got. I don't care. Plant it. These are your intentions. Your solar plexus holds your intentions. It's like a greenhouse. I want you to plant your intentions. Make a commitment to take care of this priority this week. Now, how? Return to your third eye. Focus between the eyebrows. Begin by stretching, then let go of the stretching and just keep your focus. What are 3 steps that you can take to amplify this priority in your life this week? Simple. You could write about it. You could talk to a friend. What steps can you take to make this challenge a priority in your life this week? See it through. All right. If anyone wants to share what that brought up for you, please do. We're exploring how to use this medium effectively. So thank you for your attention, your respect. I love these classes. I love this depth of working with people. I appreciate your time. I appreciate that people are setting aside this time and we're sharing it with each other. I also appreciate you giving me the respect to learn how to teach you in this way, which means I'll continue to be sloppy sometimes. I'll continue to make some mistakes. I will always do my best to learn how to be a good guide, a good teacher, a good healer for you. All right. Lacking any commentary on what that brought up for you, please share questions on anything, questions on any subject right now. Just a couple of them, and then we'll move into some readings. All right. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, Haldi, that's awesome. And see, now look, somebody could tell you, concentrate on my heart space and feel my emotions, and everybody go, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. No, there's a real difference between saying, yeah, that's a good idea, and making it a priority. Huge difference. Huge difference. Drink water, cook delicious vegetables, and stretch. And see, this is really great because Todd, you can measure next week, in a week's time, you can measure whether you did that or not. And if you didn't do that, look at the elegance of this, how healing works. If you didn't do it, you now know that one of your biggest challenges is staying with your priorities. So there's always a way to cycle it back into itself and keep working in a positive way, even if your efforts don't seem to be effective right away. Yes. And Todd, look, I cannot say enough. It's simple. Mind, spirit, body. When we do these exercises, we're using our mind to focus on an exercise. That often involves moving the body and learning to tune into the spirit. So the process is uniting the mind, the body, and the spirit. Your trust in me in this process is that we're aligning them in a way that's going to work. And it does. And so the ongoing blessing of this is the more you're aligned, the easier it is to stay aligned and to carry the strength of your practice into everything you do. Life becomes more of a living meditation. You'll begin to recognize how you can modulate your pace, respond more gracefully to the people you love, take a breath when you need to, and shift into a different gear when you're cooking or when you're doing any task. And in the process, you'll learn to take a stretch more. You'll learn to do the things that lead to better and more effective work, the things you love the least, you will do more effectively as you integrate these practices into your life. Committing. Yay, Maha. And for many reasons, the dynamics between the third eye and the solar plexus is powerful. They're actually difficult to get to work together. And the advantage of that is when you intentionally bring your clearest priorities from your third eye into your solar plexus, it's like planting a seedling in yourself. It can last. There are many reasons that's true, but I just invite you to, continue to participate in it. And incidentally, we're going to get deeper and deeper week by week. My intention is to create this in a way that somebody could start at the beginning and watch the classes. We will get more prayerful, more meditation, more magical. Okay, so planning and essentially decisions, lungs. So there's a dynamic here that is really beautiful. The solar plexus, I encourage people to think of as like a greenhouse where you plant seedlings that need to be protected. They need tending on a pretty, they're delicate. But also you can plant a lot of seedlings and watch what works, right? So there's a degree of experimenting that can go on in the solar plexus. The lungs, this is where you move things into the garden. So when you're moving something into your garden, you're thinking in terms of it's going to need more space, right? It's going to take up more space and time, and it's subjected more to the elements. So it needs to be stronger, and you need to be more intentional about what you put there. So there's a difference between planning and intentions. Planning's in the lungs, intentions in the solar plexus. Now here's the beauty and the challenge. People are often associate all of manifesting, all this law of attraction stuff, or most of it, much of it, with a misuse of your power. Because the fundamental threshold to cross here is you might be praying for the wrong shit. So one of the reasons you're not getting what you try to manifest is because the world's saying no in one way or another. And no, this is not American bullshit marathon energy here. You're supposed to push through your boundaries all the time. Sometimes you need to check in and say, is this a boundary to push through? Some boundaries need to be pushed through, but you better be damn clear on which ones, because otherwise you're raping yourself. You want to tune in when the world's saying no. When the world's saying, you're praying clearly, I hear you. No, that's bad. It's not the right path, not the right energy. You need to learn to hear the response. How many law of attraction videos do you hear talk about this? It's terrible. It's terrible that people are so addicted to the fast mind. Wanting. I want to find one video, the greatest video that will teach you how to get everything you want. Fuck you. You don't want to get everything you want. Do you know what a disaster your life would be if you got everything you wanted tomorrow? No. You need to learn to want your conversation with Gaia. You need to learn to want that conversation because that's why you're here. That's why you're born. She is your oldest friend on the earth. She is the earth. She is your oldest friend here. You need to learn to hear that response because when you put something into your garden, when you take something out of a greenhouse and plant it in the earth, you're saying, I trust that Gaia wants this to live because she will kill what she doesn't want to live. And this has a very, very present effect on your life. You are already living in these dynamics. You're probably just ignoring them. You think maybe you're blaming yourself because you failed to meet one desire or another. You're blaming yourself because you failed to manifest what you want, when really the earth said no. It's not your fault. But if you didn't listen to the response, if you didn't listen to the why, you're going to miss that she's trying to tell you to move over here. She's trying to tell you that potatoes might not grow well in your garden because the soil's off. You need to put the right compost in. Forgive me if you don't garden and you don't get the metaphor. But if you're screaming that you want to win at a cycling tournament. And Gaia is saying, I don't think that's the best idea. I want you to learn to hike. And I want you to learn to hike and register the herbs, the native herbs in this region, because you need St. John's wort, which grows here. And I want you to learn to walk on this trail and past St. John's wort and pick up that it's there because you're sad. And St. John's wort tea is good medicine for depression. And if you're just pushing to win, you're never going to get subtle enough to tune in to listen to things like that. All right. Readings. Anybody want a reading? We're going to begin. And once someone says yes, please don't type a lot. Like, you're welcome to say yes, I also want one, but please don't do commentary, because I want only commentary for the person who I'm currently reading, so I don't get confused by the sidebar. Okay, Todd. All right. You're ready for you're ready to push more. Which is going to push me. I'm going with my intuitive guidance, which says you need exercises that I have not posted yet, and I'm going to post some exercises. There's something called the empowering flower that I'm going to post for you. You need more strength in your routines. You're listening very clearly to yourself now in a way that it's great. It's working well. You can trust it, and you seem to. You're not hurting yourself in some ways that you typically have been. You're more at peace in a way that's effective. It might feel a little frightening to call in more energy, but I'm also going to encourage you to get this key ring meditation routine into your life as a break. 3 minutes, 5 minutes, that kind of 1 minute, all three of those. Get that in normally, just to kind of check in and chill out, close your eyes, tune in. So you're going to need the strength ones and the subtle ones, and you're ready for them, and you're doing really well on the other challenges that you've been facing more recently, and you don't need to add much more confusion than that. You're on a good pace. Howdy. I'm just going with it. There's a concern that maybe your kindness will be lost, and I'm first inclined to say your kindness has not been lost. You're experiencing a stronger sort of a willingness to say no, that there's grief in you, that you're losing something that you love, that you know is you. And I'm encouraging you to trust that that's not true at all. You are creating a safer space in which to be kind. This is not time for candles in the wind. You have been too much of a candle in the wind. Your lungs, still, I believe we were here before. You really need attention to what you commit to. You are still too prone to committing to relationships, to time spent in unhealthy dynamics. And saying no is not cruel. It's just uncomfortable when you change it. You also need to experience less fear of I'm getting a picture of cigar smoking men, like traditional power alpha males. They're deteriorating. You do not need to take them head on. Space is being made for you. When the world needs you to help fight, she'll let you know, but you don't need to go out of your way to. You're getting a calling. Make it your priority. You know what it is. Make it your priority. Don't get distracted. Put that all here. That's enough. Stay focused there. Maha. All right. Immediately, I get misery loves company. People try to get you to jump into their pits with them. Don't. Sitting occasionally, standing in a very grounded pose at the edge of someone's emotional pit and reaching your hand down and saying, do you want help getting out? If they just want to pull you in, say no, let go. If they are willing to do the work to get out and will behave themselves moderately okay once they are, okay, help them. But that is better for them. Getting into their pit with them just helps them be comfortable in their misery, at which point they will not be inspired to change it. This is one of your greatest concerns. It's important. Now, this frees up space for you to be you. This frees up energy for you to be you. It's not selfish, it's healthy. By modeling what it is to be healthy, you can help inspire others to be healthy. If people criticize you for it because they're used to you giving them attention, company, be prepared for that and say, I'm sorry, I can no longer be that way for you. I need to take care of myself in this way. And if they fight with you still further, say no because they're fighting. It can be challenging to change such patterns. Kavita. You've been very inspired lately. Almost to the edge, like you're almost afraid of how beautiful it can be. Life is giving you what you can handle. Yes, you need to learn to make it normal. There's some stabilizing, but it's not too much. You can do this. There's a rhythm. You don't have to try too much. Don't be afraid it'll slip through your fingers. Let it slip through your fingers. Let it go into the ground. Let the water of this beauty go into the ground and nurture your life force and the life force around you. Don't let your mind over try, and just tune in to what are the consistent steps that you need to take to be healthier, to be more centered, and keep doing those things. And when it gets too hyper, chill out. Take a break. It's real. It's real. Please trust that. Your third eye, your vision is changing. Let it change. I really invite you to let it change. Try not to clamp down on understanding. Cleanse your third eye, empty it. Tune into your heart when you think too much. Put down your effort when you think too much. And trust that these steps are happening at a pace you can handle. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Hey, Joey, does how are you mean you would like a reading? If you'd like one, let me know. Wow, cool. We've moved through people. I'm trying to be more efficient because I want to be efficient. I really appreciate the way you guys are working with me. Okay. Uh, Okay, I'm gonna do Joey first because he commented first, and then Kunli. Oh, beautiful. All right, Joey. Woo! Dude, your mind said no to her before she died. That doesn't mean it's your fault. Everybody has autonomy over themselves. You can't hold that. What you can do is be very honest with yourself about how you can take better care of yourself. When you're not healthy, you can't respond to other people in a healthy way. You drew a boundary. Sometimes people respond to boundaries that they don't like in vicious ways, including vicious ways directed towards themselves. It's not yours to bear in that way. A commitment to loving yourself more will let you feel and grieve more properly. It's giving you a distorted sense of your own power. You're afraid to act because you're afraid that you hurt when you act. You must keep going. In a way, it's about respecting other people more. It doesn't absolve you, it's just different. The greatest sin in this equation for you is that you haven't loved yourself enough. Compassion into this space. May love be present in this space. Breath of fire in the belly, creating space, burning what's been here, creating space for you to act from your core. Dude, you must love you to love in the world well. Please write to me if that brings up a lot, because that's intense. And incidentally, Joey's giving me the most donations, and I really appreciate it. It does matter to me. I have to say, being at the edge of death with other people can fry you. And I imagine that many of the people here have in some way done that. And I want us all to take a breath right now and pray that in the ways that we have been with people we've loved, in the ways that we have loved people to the edge of their life, may we surrender those parts of ourselves that were present there and needed to die. May we let go of those parts of ourselves and fully feel and allow ourselves to be reborn in compassion. May each of us embrace the new self that is born when someone dies. May each of us embrace loving ourselves more, loving this life more, in appreciation for the love that we have shared that has gone. Kunli, Ulysses. I love Ulysses. Your agency has been strapped to someone else. You've been afraid of your own power in a way that has caused you to give someone else too much power, someone else in particular. The reason that they have so much power over you is because you don't trust yourself enough. You need to stop resenting them. It's not their fault. It isn't okay. how you've been treated. It is not okay. But in a very real way, you've accepted it because you've been afraid of yourself more. You can forgive them by forgiving yourself for this fear because it's so normal. It's so understandable. Please, just choose to take the steps to learn to trust yourself more. Doesn't have to be a drama, just a slow, committed walk in the right direction. Forgiveness is so liberating because it means you're no longer holding on to anything close to hatred within you. And hatred is like a hot coal that you hold and burns yourself. Heart, your heart's been holding this coal and it hurts. It hurts. Breathe in here. I cannot invite you enough to work with the heart mind coherence meditation and find a way to bring love and compassion and appreciation and gratitude into these spaces. A slow, committed walk in the right direction can change this. And Joey, what I got immediately right away is a vision into a sense that you actually said no right soon before death. And so you've fried a connection like it's your fault, and it's just not like that. It's just not like that. And it's causing you to be afraid of your own power. You need to say no. And it's about a fundamental respect that I'm not going to say it's right or wrong to take one's own life. I'm going to say it's their agency. It's someone else's choice with God. I do encourage you to trust God in some form, Gaia. This is something I want to wrap up towards. It's funny. A lot of the truth of this world is funny. All right. And I'm hoping, I'm learning here. I'm learning how to teach, right? I'm learning how to teach on a level that I haven't been able to, because there's a lot of time to spend with you all. And the capacity you have, I've done a lot of 2-hour classes in my life, but they haven't been recorded. So you could go back and watch it again. Other people can come and watch at their own pace. So all sorts of stuff could be communicated more effectively than in any other medium. It's ironic that the pandemic is driving these dynamics for so many people. Everything in reality is energy, all right? Energy, vibration, and the ways vibration interacts. When you want to start a new reality, all you got to do is choose any base frequency and then polarize it. Think about it. Any frequency, then polarize it. And you can polarize it at certain degrees of tension. So masculine and feminine, positive and negative, have certain charges. And so you have these abilities to modulate where your reality is. Now you have a wavelength, it's a frequency. Any frequency. Take a guitar string, tune it, tune it, tune it, tune it. Wherever you put it, you find a unique space that's not being used very much. Then within, on that frequency, you're going to polarize positive and negative. Then you're born into a body where you occupy one of those poles more than the other. You occupy a unique tension between the positive and negative on the base frequency. You're hopelessly out of tune with the rest of reality. That's funny, believe me. So then we want some commonality. So we're presented with this God. What's the idea of God? Well, most of the major traditions that use the word God associate God as masculine. God is not masculine or feminine. God is bigger than any of these polarities. These polarities are BS. There's no universal masculine or feminine because positive and negative, masculine and feminine, are associated with a certain charge. They exist in relation to each other, and feminine on this vibration is totally different than feminine on this vibration. So if you want to undo your inability to be in tune with the truth, and if you have ever in your life been introduced to a masculine version of God, just start using a feminine version of God. It's easy, it's simple, and it works. You have to do it. You have to do it again and again. When I first began this shift, I prayed with Gaia. I'm going to teach you a simple song that I used. It's very effective, and I invite you to use it if you'd like. I'm not going to push you to. It's very personal. 16. Gaia, 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 Gaia. We've all got this in common. The earth, all the differences in every culture bring us back to the earth. She goes by many names. She's feminine in almost every tradition that I know of. Pachamama, Earth, Mother, Gaia. When you pray to the earth and say that I am Gaian, by whatever name, you say I'm more of the earth than whatever I was born into. You tune into where she's at. And she's listening. She's listening. And she'll help you. She'll help you more. She's like any gardener. Now, she's not like any gardener in that she doesn't kill everything that she doesn't like. In fact, she doesn't kill a lot. There's a lot of stuff she doesn't mess with. She just lets it happen. But she does tend what she wants to thrive. And that's you. Make that you. Be someone who wants to be tended. I was once learning to hitchhike. I was, in my first year of hitchhiking, and I was camping in the woods with an older woman who was good at it. And we were 5 miles into the woods. And there was one road that went by. It was a relatively not traveled road. And so we needed to hitchhike out of the woods. It was time to go get some food. And we were waiting by the road, and she got fed up, and she's like, let's start walking. And I'm like, why are you walking? Like, there's one road. Any car is going to come by this road. So if we walk, the car would have gone by where we are, and we have a lot of stuff. I don't want to carry all this stuff. And she said, sometimes you have to get moving before she'll help you. maybe that truck that picked us up, and we got to ride in the back of a pickup truck. It was really fun and beautiful. Maybe that truck wouldn't have come if we hadn't started walking. And so we picked up our heavy bags and we started walking, and we got a ride. You need to be like that. You need to get yourself moving and understand that once you do, she's going to help you, and she's going to help you more as you put more of your heart into it. This is the gift of co-creating. You get over this manifesting, I want to get whatever I want world, and embrace the fact that you're co-creating with her, and she will teach you how to be happier. She will help you let go of the more monster and choose to pray for the things that are really work. She's going to show you the sacred grove in the center of a forest that's safe and beautiful to plant your garden, because she wants people who love it here. Thank you for being here. I'm extremely grateful for your time, your respect. Please consider who you can share this with. In general, please consider who you can share this work with, whether you're sharing it broadly on a social media page, or I'm even more honored if you invite people directly and say, I think you would appreciate this. Give them a link to a video that you think would be good to start with. That's respect, and I appreciate your respect so much. Let me tell you a little secret. We're entering this time. Don Quixote, very important book, all right? Don Quixote was written about 150 years after the invention of the printing press. This is important. The printing press didn't exist. Before the printing press existed, what did people write? If you wrote something and you wanted it to be copied, think about it. Who's going to copy something you write? It takes a long time to copy a book by hand. So they copied the Bible, Beowulf, legends that people shared were copied. But there had to be a good reason to copy something. It's a lot of work. So once they invent the printing press, people have the ability to conceive of writing something down that's broadly shared. Think about what that means. People have the ability to conceive of writing down something that's broadly shared that maybe is fanciful, a story like Don Quixote. But it took 150 years for people to conceive differently of their reality based on the fact that it was now possible to get something to a lot of people rather easily. Same is true of the internet. It's just been around for 2.5 decades, 3 decades, broadly used. That's nothing. We haven't even learned to change our mindset. And one of the biggest changes that's going to happen, and I tell you this very honestly, one of the biggest changes that's going to happen is people are going to learn to respect. When you respect me, that's more important than any money you can give me. Your respect is more important than anything else. It's something. Your respect blesses me. Your appreciation bless me. They make me stronger. And please make a donation. I'd be grateful. Venmo and PayPal, I'll put the links under. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making this an exciting part of my life. I appreciate you for being here. I know that I am a better person for your trust and respect. And I will remain really joyful to look forward to hearing from you and seeing you next week. Much love be with you and your families.